Good morning and welcome to Let's Talk New Mexico. I'm your host, KUNM News Director Megan Kamrick. Starting a business is a risky venture, and yet each year about 5 million new businesses launch in the U.S. About 20% fail in their first year and nearly half fall by the wayside within 5 years. Business incubators, organizations that help startup companies, are one way to make a dent in those numbers. The International Business Innovation Association found in a survey that 87% of firms who graduated from incubators were still in business after 5 years. That's compared to a 44% survival rate for companies that didn't use an incubator. Incubators offer entrepreneurs resources and support to help them launch what may have been a side hustle in someone's garage or kitchen table into a full-time venture. They often have office space with shared services or even high-tech equipment and labs to assist tech startups commercializing a new technology. New Mexico has 9 certified business incubators, and since 2005, the state has operated a program to assist communities in getting new incubators started and certified. This morning, we will talk to 2 incubators and a third organization working to get certified, as well as business owners who are part of those programs. But first, we'll hear from Nora Myers-Sackett. She's the director of the New Mexico Technology and Innovation Office within the Economic Development Department. And this is your chance to call in and ask these experts for their advice if you're thinking of turning that side hustle into a full-blown business. Or maybe you are in an incubator right now, or you graduated from one, and you'd like to talk about what you learned. We'd love to hear from you. Call 505-277-5866 or email letstalk@kunm.org.
Incubators are really important because starting a business, as so many small business owners and entrepreneurs in New Mexico will tell you, is really hard. And so the state supports organizations that try to make that a little bit easier. So incubators can provide a variety of different things. They can provide space. They can provide access to resources. They can provide access to equipment, sometimes specialized equipment. So they're intended to support entrepreneurs, small businesses, startups at the early stage when they're trying to get off the ground and lower that barrier to entry for launching and growing a business. The state supports New Mexico incubators in a variety of different ways. So the state has a certified business incubator program. This is a statutory program that lists certain requirements for a certified business incubator. We also support the creation of new incubators. And so we provide funding that helps folks do feasibility studies or do improvements to their physical space. In the science and tech arena specifically, science and tech startups can be hard to build with equipment and space needs like wet labs that can be difficult to afford when you're just starting out and hard to find at more broadly focused incubators. And so we're also supporting incubators and innovation hubs that can offer these resources at a lower cost. Again, reducing that barrier to entry. And so the Economic Development Department has received appropriations from the legislature and support from the governor to award our certified business incubators and create additional programming to help us get more certified business incubators and also create more physical infrastructure that enables startups to grow. In the past year, the state has dramatically increased the amount of support and amount of funding that we have awarded to support incubators, which in turn supports businesses growing. Economic Development New Mexico has awarded over $6 million total in the last year for incubators, innovation hubs, and entrepreneurship support. And we are excited to see the results that are yielded from that. There is an organization called the International Business Innovation Association. And according to statistics from them, every 50 jobs created by an incubator client generate approximately 25 more jobs in the same community. In a survey from them, incubators had also reported that 87% of all firms that graduate from their incubators are still in business. So this is a proven method to create the resources that support startups and entrepreneurs to grow. It's all part of our bigger mission for economic development for New Mexico. I think the only other thing I'll add is specific on the science and tech front. The state is really looking to catalyze our innovation ecosystem and our innovation economy and build on that strong foundation of research that we have and really turn that into industry and growth. And so we did last year a science and tech roadmap, And specifically identified in that roadmap was entrepreneurial support and infrastructure as a critical gap in the state's innovation ecosystem. And so that's part of why we have invested from the state millions of dollars in physical infrastructure, in programming that supports entrepreneurs with services like navigating federal grant funds and federal contracts, and piloting health tech with local hospitals or energy tech with local utilities. So we're trying to fill that identified gap so that tech startups and innovation businesses have the resources they need to be started and get off the ground quicker, create jobs more quickly. So it's both on the small level of helping an individual business have the space to be a bakery or a health tech or an energy tech, and then also bigger picture, creating additional resources for businesses and the ecosystem at large to grow.
That was Nora Myers-Sackett with the New Mexico Technology and Innovation Office talking about business incubators. And here in the studio, we have a very full house with folks from the South Valley Economic Development Center, New Mexico Community Capital, and WESST. That used to stand for the Women's Self-Sufficiency Team. WESST has expanded beyond just helping women-owned firms. I do want to start with WESST. We have Chief Operations Officer Sierra Pena-Smith and a WESST incubator client, Jordan Tate. Between 2009 and 2024, the companies in WEST's incubator have created 455 new jobs with a total payroll of nearly $80 million. They've also raised $20 million in equity investments. Sierra, WEST launched in 1989, and its incubator, the WEST Enterprise Center, opened in 2005 here in Albuquerque. What kind of services do you offer at the incubator?
Hi, Megan. Good morning. Thanks for having us. So, wonderful interview and already a good start talking about all the benefits of the incubation program. As you mentioned, WEST started out as really a home for entrepreneurs, but a place to have people come and start their business. One of our pillars is training and consulting. So it felt really natural to have incubation kind of come out of that supportive services and the wraparound support, and then kind of turn into this catalyst for helping those entrepreneurs, like you said, access not only space and facilities at an affordable rate, but have that dedicated support and resources that really helps them in those like very important early stages.
How do incubators make the difference between succeeding and failing with a new business?
That's a good question. Well, I think I want to hand it over to Jordan.
Okay, Jordan.
Jordan, what do you think?
Jordan, tell us about your business and being in the incubator. Why does that make a difference for you?
Yes. Okay. I can really speak on this. So, like being in the incubator is a lot different because I know like starting a business and being on my own, it was harder to go out and search and find resources. There were resources available, and that's another thing that I appreciate about the state in general. But being in the incubator, you feel like you have close access to those resources. You can have business consultations, and there's really like a team around you, and you're physically there in the space as well. So it doesn't feel like you're figuring everything out on your own. And if you need to ask or figure out something that you're going through, even on a personal level, you can do that because there's people, actual human beings around you to help.
So Jordan, tell us about your company and why you decided to do this risky, crazy thing of launching your own business.
Yes. So our company is Creative Duke. We are a full-service advertising agency. We serve small businesses, nonprofits, and real estate clients because we also offer drone services. So if you're a realtor and you need some aerials, creativedukemedia.com. But yes, like we're here to help.
We have links on our website, all your companies.
Yes, please go look. Please go look. But we're here to help. We set visual foundations for our clients so you can market, so you can scale. We offer web development, graphic design. But so the main thing is, like I took the plunge as a business owner because I had to. Because I know for myself, I'm just wired that way as a business owner. I have to do my own thing. And no matter like what risks are involved, like we'll figure that out when it comes. And so, like for me, I had gotten furloughed So, always in the back of my head, I always wanted to be a business owner. But when I got furloughed, it was like, okay, like now I have some time to figure things out. That's when I started searching for resources. And
Was this in the pandemic?
it was during the pandemic. It was during the pandemic. I had no option. So essentially, I came across WESST. And at that point in time, I wasn't an incubator client. I was just looking for basic, general resources. How do I start my LLC? Super basic, because I'm an artist at heart. When it comes to business, that's all these pieces that I got to figure out and put together and develop skills for. So it started there. And then over time, even at that point, just coming in for free consultations, like they held my hand until I could get to a good point to set a foundation. And then when I started growing, I was in need for space and expansion. And then that's kind of when we started talking about the incubator, and then that came into play.
Is that pretty common, Sierra? I mean, what kinds of companies do you have? I'm guessing they all have different stories, but...
Yeah, different stories. We're a mixed-use facility, so, we have everything from like office retail space to a Class 1 wet lab to some light manufacturing space. And so we do have a varied amount of clients. Let's see, we have some people in the biotech industry in the incubator currently, software development. We have Jordan, of course. We have a mushroom farm.
A mushroom farm?
Yes.
Are they growing mushrooms in the incubator?
Yes.
Okay. I guess that fits with an incubator.
One of the cool things about our building is has some storefront space too. So that's been a really kind of neat thing for our clients to be able to kind of grow mushrooms and then open the storefront and sell mushrooms. So you guys should come check it out. But a wide variety of clients there. And we do see that often. Like I said, I think that's why the incubator has been successful at WESST, is because it is so like integrally tied to what we offer and what we do. We come across people that are starting, and when it makes sense, we can offer this next step or this catalyst that could take them to the next level.
Do you get more applications than you can take? Or is it? I guess that depends on the economy and those things.
It depends on the economy, and it hasn't been an overwhelming kind of thing. It's been a steady flow, and thankfully, it's just kind of worked out to support who we can when we need to.
What kinds of services, you mentioned some of them, Jordan. Give me a little bit more about what kinds of services like you've gotten, or Sierra, if you want to say what you offer.
Yeah, so I can talk a little bit about, general amenities, right? We're talking about space that's really valuable for people who are trying to do things like biotech or in a lab or light manufacturing space. So, pricing things below market rate is important to give those people who are just starting out kind of that edge. But we have a lot of other amenities. We have on-site workshops, seminars, a lot of networking events, and then conference and meeting rooms, access to event space. I know Jordan's taken advantage of the event space if he wants to talk about that. And then just the things that you don't really think about that come with like overhead cost, right? Like internet access, receptionists, like printing use, all those things that when you're just starting out and you're trying to focus on really building those things in a meaningful way can really help set people up for success. I think the networking with other entrepreneurs is something that I've noticed is a really cool benefit. I even encountered something recently between two of our incubators who are both in light manufacturing spaces, and one was a little bit more seasoned and was helping the other one kind of realize that she could maybe cut costs or work through different POS and advertising.
POS is
point of sale.
Point of sale, thank you.
System. Mm-hmm. And so you see that happening a lot too. So it does kind of create this really neat community of knowledge sharing too.
Have you found that, Jordan?
Yes, I found that. And I think because everything is intertwined, like the business and the personal. And for me, it's been really good just to have people around. Also, like I know Sierra mentioned the space. Like having the space is different, especially when you're talking to clients daily, having meetings and having access to conference rooms. That's a game changer.
A little different than having them come to your garage or whatever.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So that, and then also like the ability to do things with the space. So every year we do a ball drive, and we're able to connect with the community and do things like that and be plugged in. So it makes it a lot easier to take advantage of.
This is Let's Talk New Mexico. We're talking about business incubators. Are you running your business from your kitchen table and pondering if an incubator might help you grow? Or maybe you went through an incubator program. We want to hear from you. Call 505-277-5866 or email letstalk@kunm.org. We'll be right back. This is Let's Talk New Mexico. I'm Megan Kamrick. Next week, we'll talk about the centennial of Route 66. Today, we're talking about small business incubators. Do you have a question about how they work, how you can get into an incubator? You can email letstalk@kunm.org or give us a ring at 505-277-KUNM. And we just before the break, we were talking to Sierra Pena-Smith and Jordan Tate. Jordan is in the WESST incubator. Sierra is the chief operations officer. I wanted to ask you, Jordan, how long have you been in the incubator, and how has it helped your company grow?
So it's been a little bit over 2 years now, and I think the one thing, the biggest way how it's helped grow is mindset. Because we had access to consistent business consultations, and through that process, we were meeting bi-weekly, and we had a strategy of what we were doing. So being consistent and intentional, that was one of the things that really began shifting mindset as far as how things were operating. So initially, things were operating from much more of a reactive point. And I think that's just natural when you start out of nothing and then you have to adjust and learn. And now things are a lot more systemic. There's a lot of foundation in place to add room for scaling. And, with that in place, it gives me more breadth as well as a business owner. So I think those structural differences and intention, I think that's a game changer, combined with the consistency and the goals, that come along with the incubator as well.
Sierra, do you your staff do regular check-ins with clients to see how they're doing financially, with their strategy, with their goals?
Yeah, it's a combination, right? We try and set milestones to work towards. Every business is kind of in a phase that we're working through certain, either core competencies or focuses. But we also just have people reach out, right? We're in the building. The other day, someone was like, hey, I need to talk to you about this. So there's that accessibility too. So it's really a combination of both.
Do you have a graduation date, Jordan?
Kind of like a little rough estimate area we did, and things have changed within the incubator as well. So, like before I was working with, a couple other staff members, and now we're kind of transitioning into a new period. So we're kind of reconfiguring and figuring out what's best at this point in time,
Sierra, what is the cost for people to get into the program?
So the pricing model, like I mentioned, is really about the space use for the most part. All of our training and consulting is free. And
once you're in there.
Right,
Mm-hmm,
right.
Got it.
So all of that comes along with the incubation. And like I mentioned, what we try and do is take a look at what are market rates for office space and retail, light manufacturing, and then we try and come a little bit below that. And then we make some adjustments based on phase of business, amenities, type of space, lease terms, things like that just try and make sense for the business at that stage.
Okay, very good. Also joining us this morning is the South Valley Economic Development Center, which opened in 2005. It was spurred by community members seeking economic development in Albuquerque's South Valley, which has a deep history of agriculture and a large population who identify as Hispanic or Latino or Chicano. In its last quarter, the center was hosting 35 businesses employing 79 people with a total of $500,000 in revenue. And we're joined today by Claudia Banuelos. She's Operations and Special Projects Coordinator for the South Valley Economic Development Center, or SVEDC. Thank you for joining us this morning, Claudia.
Thank you for having me. Excited to be here.
The focus of your incubator is the commercial kitchen. How does that work, and what kinds of companies are using this?
Yeah, so the way the incubator works for the kitchen is we have programming through that. So that program is called the Mariposa program, or butterfly in English. So the Mariposa program is tailored for an already experienced entrepreneur, right? Maybe they've had their cooking business or bakery for years, and now they want to just elevate it to the next level and take it more serious, right? So that's what the incubation program is tailored around. we have a lot of different food businesses in the program.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, anything you could think of. Like we have caterers, bakers, we have food trucks, salsa makers, marinara makers, any type of food business. The only food business we cannot intake in my facility is a jerky business. But
Why not?
Just because of the certain certifications that we have, like due to our health permit, we're not allowed to incubate like food, like jerky makers. However, eventually I would love to open it up to that since we do also have the equipment for it as well. But yeah, we have any type of food business you could think of in the incubation.
How do they use the kitchen and other space?
So it goes through the program, through the Mariposa program. So they do have to be a member of the Mariposa program to get access to the kitchen and all the, perks to it, right? So the base membership for the Mariposa program is $175 a month. For a food truck, it's $200 a month. And then storage is billed separately per month. And then kitchen time is per hour per piece of equipment that they utilize. And then once they join the program, they get 24/7 access to the facility. So any time or day that they want to produce, that's completely on them. They obviously get a thorough training of like how to, activate the alarms, disactivate the alarms, what's the proper process of opening and closing the facility, right? So that's like also a very nice thing about like the facility, right? It being a community space is that there's a bunch of different people like coming in and out of it, right? But they all, I like to believe that all the people who are in the program and that utilize the facility care for it, right? And like take care of it as deeply as I do. So everybody has always been so great about like, closing up properly and making sure that everything is good there.
So everybody's got a schedule around everyone else.
Yeah.
They're coming in at all hours?
Yeah, they're coming in on different hours. So we go through a software called the food corridor. The food corridor is what makes it easier, like for them to see who's in the kitchen, what's available, what's not available. The nice thing about that is that they get to book on their own, right? So they don't have to wait for staff to approve or like to see if the area is available. That was an issue like before, right? Like capacity wise, it's just monitoring an email so regularly is hard. And then sometimes you either have staff to monitor it or you don't, right? So the food corridor just like took away that weight off of our shoulders and the weight off of their shoulders of having to wait. It's just easy and accessible to them.
So what other kinds of services or mentoring do you offer? Yeah,
so we offer any type of business advising or consulting. So if someone were to come up and say like, oh, I need help with my finances, I need to sit down to talk about my finances, or maybe their marketing, anything like that, we bring on a consultant free of charge to the client. So that will always be free to them once they become a member of the Mariposa program.
Now, you have different levels of the programs depending on where people are with the business?
Yeah, so we are relaunching a program called the Semilla program. Semilla program was open back before 2020, before COVID, and then it got shut down, right, due to capacity issues. But we are relaunching here in August. The first cohort is going to be free, but the Semilla program is more for like the smaller entrepreneur, right? So that's a 6-month curriculum that they follow every single week with monthly in-person check-ins. And they just, if you don't even know what a business plan is, right? Like you don't even know how to develop your business plan, or like you don't even know what your menu, like how it should be structured and anything like that, that Semilla program covers literally every single step for you. And then towards the end, you go through that process of getting permitted and getting your business license.
Now, how long can they stay? Do they have to leave at some point?
So for the Semilla program, that's a 6-month curriculum, which once that 6 month is done, they either get the choice to join our Mariposa program, or they could, go out to another incubator kitchen. For the Mariposa program, typically around 3 to 5 years is what we let people be in the program. However, for specific clients, it doesn't necessarily make sense, right? Like, let's say you're a caterer, right? And like sometimes it makes sense for them to go get their own brick and mortar, right, to open up their own restaurant, but it depends on the caterer and it depends on how their business is doing, right? For salsa makers, same thing. It just does not make too much sense for them to entirely leave the program, just because of all that overhead cost that it would be, So we do yearly check-ins with them just to see where they're at with their business, and we also do quarterly metrics as well that we send out to them, just to see if there's anything that they're needing throughout the year, right? Like how we could be more of help to them.
Why is this center a good fit for the South Valley?
Oh, I like to say it's a good fit just because of all the resources it has, right? I don't know if any of you guys have been to the facility before, but it's just a community space, right? So like Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. It's open to the public, open to anybody who like maybe needs to take a business meeting or has homework to do and like needs a quiet space to do it. It's there, right? And it's so essential to the South Valley. I see a lot of, students from there or just small businesses from there who like to have their meetings there. Other nonprofit organizations, right, who also like to utilize the building for stuff like that. I just think the resources that are within the building are just so essential, and it has become such a big part of the South Valley. But yeah, it definitely is essential. Yeah.
And what kind of growth goals do you have? I know you have a plan for an expansion, I think.
Yeah. So we are undergoing an expansion right now. It is getting close to wrapping up. So that's a 5,200 square foot expansion. And it's the first of its kind agriculture facility here in New Mexico. So it's very exciting. But that's going to have its own management, its own reception, its own production, and its own staffing. But that's one of the bigger projects here in August. Hopefully they should be wrapping it up. And then in September, we'll be doing like a nice ribbon cutting event. So, definitely keep an eye out for that. And then
tell me more about what kind of work will be going on there.
Yeah, so that one, that facility is projecting to wash, chop, and package 50,000 pounds of produce a week, and which is a very large amount, right? So the idea of that, and I follow the project, but I'm not too familiar with like their programming and like how that system will work out. But the idea of it is like they will buy produce from farmers from here in New Mexico, and then we'll bring it to our facility and we will value add all the products that we buy. Again, I don't know too much about the programming of it and like specifically how that process works. But after we get the product, we value add it, then they distribute it out to like schools, nursing homes, places
so
like
it's
that.
Packaging it so help the farmers get their produce.
Yeah.
Out. Okay. And you're helping the Mariposa clients. Do you help them with like figuring out distribution?
Yeah, so
retail outlets.
A nice thing too is like within the organization, so within the RGCDC, there's another initiative called Delicious New Mexico. So Delicious New Mexico is a distribution initiative, and they have their own pricing structure, right, and their own agreements like for the clients. However, let's say Katie needs a distributor, right? That's the first person that goes to my mind is Delicious New Mexico, right? Just because it's already an initiative of the organization, and it's just easier to just already give them, someone's already in-house, they already have worked with our clients, they know what it's like, right? So we do already have like a distribution initiative, but again, that's its own pricing structure and its own agreement that the clients have to sign.
I just want to say we got a call from David in Moriarty, but he couldn't stand the line. He says he was recently in a business incubator. I don't know if I'll say this right, called GUIA? G-U-I-A. It was through the Santa Fe Community College. It's an incubator for businesses in the Santa Fe Los Alamos corridor. He said it was a great experience, and they're looking for startups right now. So I will put that on the webpage for our show as well. You mentioned Katie. Kathleen is sitting here. Kathleen Sacomon. Did I say that right?
Yes.
Okay. She's one of the incubator clients at the South Valley Economic Development Center. You own Sweet Pea Bakery.
I do.
In Albuquerque. Tell us about your business, Kathleen, and how you got into the incubator.
Yeah, the business actually started out of my house about 5 years ago. Our 5-year anniversary is this month. And I worked initially as a teacher and took some time off when my daughter was born and knew I wasn't going back to teaching. And that idea of being a bakery had kind of been in the back of my mind, but felt like something that wasn't possible until I worked with the Institute for Justice and other local bakers to get the Homemade Food Act passed. So that made it legal for me to do a bakery out of my house, which was a huge game changer. So I started out of the house 5 years ago and then moved into the facility about a year and a half ago now, I think it was.
Why did you want to go into the facility rather than just keep doing what you were doing?
I actually thought I would not move into a facility for a long time. My initial thought was that I would stay working from my house until my daughter was like middle school, high school age. I started originally with decorated sugar cookies and did I do cookie decorating classes. And so those felt good to do outside of in the house. But once I started taking orders, it kind of took off a bit faster than I thought it would, which is always a great problem to have, but it can be a problem. And started doing markets as well. And our house isn't tiny, but it's not huge. I don't have the ability to put an extra oven or an extra fridge into our house. And so it really became kind of a question of quality of life for me and my family inside of our house to have so much of our fridge taken up with business stuff, having to house everything. And that's really what kind of drove me out of the house as early as I did and looking into the facility and moving into there.
How long have you been? You've been there for a year?
A year and a half, yeah.
Oh, okay. And what are you getting out of being in the incubator?
Yeah, it's been, I just mentioned the ability to have everything out of the house is very nice. To have a little bit more space that not everything can go out, right? We have limited space there, but it's been nice to be able to go away and also to have community. You mentioned other businesses being present in the space and being able to talk to people has been a huge part of that and create connections. And I've been able to kind of take this jump and move into a place that was a lot less expensive than outfitting my own kitchen. I didn't have any previous experience in the food industry at all, which is a risky gamble. You open a bakery and then all of a sudden you realize there's a lot that comes with that. And so to have a space that I didn't have to outfit, I didn't have to pay to outfit, and to figure out a lot of, okay, if I did have a kitchen, what would that look like? What works for me? What does not? Figuring out how to work efficiently in a commercial kitchen so that all those processes can be a lot more dialed in has been a huge game changer and a huge benefit of being in that space for me.
What are your goals for the company's growth?
Oh my goodness, it's changed so much over different years. I would love to have my own space at some point, to have something. I don't want anything big. I'm not one of those entrepreneurs who's sitting here like, I want multiple stores and I want this massive facility. Something small. I visit Mexico every year, and there's a little bakery that we visited a year or two ago, and it was just this little space in this building that it was tiny, but it was like, this is what I would love to have. So nothing huge, but my own little space that people can come to and enjoy delicious food and spend time with people they love is the goal.
Now, how do you so you create the cookies and mostly cookies?
Yeah, so we've done decorated sugar cookies. We can print logos on cookies now, which is awesome. But we do like classic cookies. We can do catering for events and weddings, cupcakes, bars, dessert cups, things like that.
Are you focused more on catering, or are you still going out to like various markets? Do you have retail?
Yeah, I've been doing markets for a long time. This year we focused on Windrock Market. We love that one. But markets have been wonderful. I tried wholesale for a while, and it just didn't fit for what I wanted to do. And just lifestyle of what I wanted to do. So we mainly are focusing now on kind of larger corporate events and weddings, things like that.
This is Let's Talk New Mexico on 89.9 KUNM. I'm Megan Kamrick. Stay right there. We'll be back in just a minute to talk about Native entrepreneurship and business incubators. This is Let's Talk New Mexico, and we're talking about business incubators this morning with several organizations and entrepreneurs. We just heard from the South Valley Economic Development Center, and now I want to turn to New Mexico Community Capital. It was started in 2004 with the mission to change the status quo in Native American-owned business through mentorship, financial literacy, digital skills programs, and technical assistance. In 2014, they kicked off a business incubation program through a grant that lasted for 5 years and graduated 48 businesses. Among them was Shyla Shepard, founder of Bow and Arrow Brewing. It also serves over 900 people with technical assistance and classes, and since its creation, NMCC has invested over $10 million into New Mexico companies who have hired or retained at least 260 employees. I'm joined by Liz Gamboa. She is the executive director of New Mexico Community Capital. Liz, you recently got a grant from the state to pursue business incubator certification. What are you all doing now, and what are you looking to do with the grant?
Yeah, good morning, Megan. So we have been just steadily holding classes. We did the NEAR program that you mentioned, the Native Entrepreneur in Residence program, which was a 6-month program offering a $15,000 stipend, one-to-one mentorship in a community of practice afterwards. And that was highly successful. And as you mentioned, Shiloh went through our program and really refined the presentation of material and curriculum and made it applicable in consideration of Native entrepreneurs. So just thinking about, were they on res? Were they on their tribal lands? Are they urban Native entrepreneurs? So we did that, and then we thought, okay, program directors saw that there was a lack of education and information around financials. So we went back to financial literacy and business basics, and also considered the families that were involved. So we had childcare classes. We did it over a series of 4 weeks. The idea, and this was funded through Kellogg, was to go to the pueblos. So then people were ready for, as we went into the pandemic, digital media marketing basics program. That morphed into business and marketing essentials, which is where we are now. And we've stuck with that program for the last several years. It's really popular. People receive a laptop, a business, a gift certificate that supports them with Canva and QuickBooks, a community, and I'm so happy to hear that from the panel. I think that's so important to go through this process with other people who are in the same situation you're in.
And why is entrepreneurship a good fit for Indigenous communities, and how do you tailor your programs culturally to meet people where they are?
I think it starts with, as I said, with the FBB. Sorry,
what is
we
that?
Use acronyms. Financial and business basics. I think that was important to have a meal catered by someone from the area, right? Another Native entrepreneur. It's important to have childcare. Community is very important. Community ceremonies, cultural days. We have to make allowances for this, right? It's not focused on just simply business growth. It really is just a larger perspective.
And what kinds of, you guys are downtown in the Occidental building, downtown Albuquerque. What kind of services are you offering out of there?
Sure. So we have 2 separate spaces that are joined by a door. One is the more newly opened Resilience Hub. So it seats 180 people. It has a big screen, amazing AV. So we have drop-in TA sessions, plenty of space.
Technical assistance?
Absolutely. So we have mentors come in, we present, we do lunch and learns, that kind of thing. On the other side, we have a smaller classroom, which was our original space. We do the same thing. We bring speakers in, and also have space as well, which has been mentioned, that people sometimes just need a place to drop into where they can close the door, plug in, access a second screen, just have the space to meet with a future or a potential client where they can talk about terms and negotiations. So we offer that as well, and it is utilized by the folks we've supported.
We actually have a caller with a question on the phone. Christina from Albuquerque. Thanks for calling into Let's Talk New Mexico. What is your question?
So I am a local artist and just starting out. I don't know, I have an idea of how to start my business, but I don't know how to start it.
Okay. Well, we have some experts here with you. Just anyone interested in taking that? Sierra, you're laughing. Liz, do you want to take it?
Sure.
Everybody's a little shy to answer your question.
No. And congratulations on just having that idea and wanting to pursue it. I admire entrepreneurs so much. It's so hard. It's also so satisfying. So I think I heard a podcast by Mark Pincus, who was the founder of Zynga, right? I don't even know how many millions he's made off of this and growing this business. So he said that you have to measure things by, as an entrepreneur going into whatever area you're in, it's perfect, better, new. So there may be an idea, but it's missing, and a business, but it's missing something, whatever it is. If you come in, you can make it better, right? And then you have a new product that you present. And what you need to have is a distinguished problem and a solution, and everything kicks off from there. That's the way I'd like to frame it, right? So what is your revenue model from that? Can you make it work? And maybe revenue is not your ideal, so it could be more a social enterprise, perhaps a future nonprofit. Yeah, and I'm wondering if anyone else.
And can people just come in and find out about
They can
join your lunch and learn or your technical assistance, things like that?
Well, typically it is for folks who have gone through our programs because there are so many, but by word of mouth, we announce it on our socials. People can see what's happening. We have a First Friday event that happens every month. We're a part of the Downtown Albuquerque Art Walk. So prior to that, we offer a session, so that's also something to keep.
Yeah, I went to that. So
for.
you had different artisans with things
Absolutely.
they were selling. Yeah,
absolutely. And they've all, I would say 95% have gone through our program. So it's an offering for them. And we also have a boutique in our entrance area.
What were you going to say, Sierra?
I know I giggled a little bit. The nervous laughter. I was identifying with that nervousness, right, that you have when you're like, I know that this could be something, but I don't know how to get started. And I think that's the most magical thing about where WESST is and the people that work there and what we do and how we help people is that a lot of people from our communities just come in with like a passion and an idea, and they're really just not sure. And having people who work in this space and kind of help you put things down on paper in a way that starts to make sense, and you start to figure out pathways for, like Jordan says, what skill do I need to build? What do I need to understand? What could be a first meaningful step? I think just knowing that there are, obviously everyone here at this table, a lot of people out there working in this space and available to come meet you where you are and help you. So just reach out and connect.
There is a vibrant community of entrepreneurs in New Mexico. I used to cover them as a business reporter. And I loved your description, Liz, because I've explained, like, they're basically trying to solve a problem. And that's kind of what they're doing. And they're taking enormous risk to do it. So I'm very admiring of that. Also joining us from New Mexico Community Capital is Kalika Talu. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, sure, yes. Hello, good morning. Yate she Kalika Yenashe. Naho Kostane Neshlin Nakaidane Bashashin. French Deshache Tachini Dashanele at Egatsan in Neshlin. Just so honored to be here with all of you. My name is Kalika Talu. I'm Danae Ute. And yeah, just excited to join.
You are the creative director at New Mexico Community Capital. But you were also, before that, you were a client.
Yes, correct.
And tell us about that and how New Mexico Community Capital helped you build your business.
Yeah, so in the early 2000s, I had a wellness-based salon Talu for over 7 years in Nob Hill. And in around 2015, I was really looking to connect with other entrepreneurs, specifically Indigenous Native entrepreneurs, mentors, and coaches. So some really amazing friends of mine that I looked up to in their work in entrepreneurship and community told me about NMCC, New Mexico Community Capital, and to check them out, go to a networking event. And sure enough, I was accepted in 2015 to the NEAR program, 6-month accelerator.
Tell me again what the NEAR program stood for.
Native Entrepreneur in Residence.
Okay. And you also helped create the group Native Women Lead to connect other Indigenous entrepreneurs. There are a lot of networking events and organizations around New Mexico. Why was it important for you to network with other Native business owners?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that was such a powerful time. Again, because of the NEAR program, I connected with other strong Native women, entrepreneurs who I looked up to, their values and what they were doing into community. And what we were building at our salon was uniquely different because it was based in Dene tradition and philosophy and mentorship of young Indigenous people. So that's kind of where I was looking to find that coaching and finance support and, build and grow my business in creativity. But really, I think through the network and connecting and seeing there wasn't a lot of intimate spaces even for Indigenous women to go to summits, to go to retreats, and to be in a place that's safe and just flourishing of our experiences. We saw the need to kind of build that out together through Native Women Lead. So yeah, I'm one of the co-founders of that amazing organization.
It's still going?
Still going, yeah.
You and I talked before this, and you mentioned when we talk about the elevator speech for entrepreneurs or people asking for money, we have to do it too in philanthropy. And being with, networking with other Native business owners in that ecosystem, is it easier to be in that space for you versus being in, whatever we want to say, a mainstream Western space? So you're trying to sell your business and also saying, oh, yes, I am Native, and that's what this means.
I think, a little mix of both, but I think definitely it's innately we understand each other to a degree. I mean, tribal people were so diverse and so unique across Turtle Island. There's so many different tribes and traditions. But yeah, in a space, there are certain things that are just innately understood. So make that kind of flow easy. And a lot of our work at New Mexico Community Capital, our curriculum development, is deeped in Indigenous methodologies. And so we've looked to elders like Dr. Kwekahete and other elders in our community who have influenced our work and our visioning process we take entrepreneurs through. That's unique.
And I understand, you might have mentioned this, I apologize, Liz, but you're going to try and relaunch the NEAR program?
We're working on something called Resilience Circles, which started in Alaska. They're on their second year. So it is an accelerator, incubator, but it's also inclusive of culture and holistic care. And it really is, it is not just business, because in life it is not just business. So I myself personally am always searching for that balance. And this program with Resilience Circles, we hope to launch, and with the help of this incubation, support grant.
I want to throw out some questions to everyone. Now, for our entrepreneurs here, now that you have some years under your belts, what would you tell your younger, less experienced selves about starting a business? Are there mistakes you would avoid? Jordan, I'm looking at you.
There's like, looking back, there's always mistakes, but I don't know if I would avoid all of them because they've all been lessons. So,
learning opportunities.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So I'm grateful for the mistakes. I would probably just say don't be so anxious because I have crazy anxiety all the time.
Kathleen?
Yeah, I think something I've had to learn is being okay with mistakes and being okay with pivoting. That you're going to pivot a lot in your business, and that's okay. It doesn't mean it's failure. It just means you've learned something and you've realized it doesn't work for you or it doesn't work for the community, and there's a different direction to go.
Speaking of pivoting, I wanted to ask, I'll start with you, Claudia. You guys have all opened around the same time, at least your incubators. It's kind of interesting. Yeah. But that's around the early aughts. Things have changed so much, especially in retail. There weren't smartphones. There was no AI, really. How do you adapt, or have you adapted to market changes over the years?
Yeah, so specifically like with my clientele, right, in the South Valley, it's a little bit difficult, right? Like some of the folks in my program, most of them make up, right, like older Hispanic, Mexican people, right? And they have like a very interesting point of view on technology, right? Like they're very hesitant towards it. Like they don't really trust it too much, right? So that is a learning curve that we definitely have at the SVDC, is because we do everything digitally, right there. And so like just getting those folks to like, be more comfortable, that is something that, I actively still struggle with at the SVDC.
Sierra, what about WESST? I know you've had to make some adjustments even in the last few years.
Right. Yeah, we've made some adjustments. Actually, I think we took more of an intentional look at our incubator over the past year, and we're in the process actively now about revamping our approach with all things, like how often we're meeting with clients, what are our goals, what are our phases, what should we be focusing on in each of those phases, what do we actually define as, graduation ready? Like, I think we're just taking a really another look at, it's been a long time that this program's been in action, and, rethinking what needs to be reframed and resupported or, changed.
I was talking with you because I used to cover WESST. I mean, in the height of the film industry here, you all opened a green screen studio, and through no fault of your own, that industry has just shifted a lot in the last few years. And it's just not as active right now in New Mexico. So you have to think through that too, right?
We do.
Yeah.
And we had an adjacent sound studio, right, that was getting built. And that was when a lot of that work was going out of state, and still is. But there's a lot of sound studios opening. So we're relooking at, like, what is more mission aligned? How can we utilize this space to, like, really even further support the small business community and our incubation clients? And how can we use it more of, like, a training resource? So I'm excited about, the pivot we're going to make with the studios, and so we'll keep you guys posted.
And Liz, you've been there a while, how have you had to adapt?
I think, one, I would say, just listening to everyone else, we've had, it's been a little challenging measuring the impact of our work, because it is not directly, there are X number of jobs, this much revenue. It is a broader view and interpretation of that. Like, what are you doing in community? How do you measure community stabilizers, maybe more even in this rural, some of these rural areas?
And that is the wrap-up music. I'm sorry to say we've reached the end of the hour. Thanks to everyone who called or emailed us. A big thank you to our guests, Elizabeth Gamboa and Kalika Talou from New Mexico Community Capital, Claudia Banuelos and Kathleen Sacomon from the South Valley Economic Development Center, Sierra Pena-Smith and Jordan Tate from WESST. You can comment on the show by email at letstalk@kunm.org. Find us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And the audio from today's show will be up on our website soon. And you can also watch the episode on YouTube, on our YouTube channel later today. Find the Let's Talk New Mexico podcast on Apple and Spotify. Remember, next week, join us to talk about the 100th year anniversary of Route 66. Our engineer today was Marino Spencer. Florian Knowles handled the phones, and Ty Bannerman produced the show this week. I'm Megan Kamrick for Let's Talk New Mexico on 89.9 KUNM.